It started like any other courtroom hearing: a judge, a defendant, and a pretty straightforward drunk driving case. But what happened next had everyone in that Wisconsin courtroom speechless. Because instead of trusting his lawyer, this man decided to argue math with artificial intelligence. Yep, you heard that right. In the middle of a real court proceeding, he tried to convince a judge that his blood alcohol test was wrong. Because, according to his AI chatbot, decimals didn't mean what everyone thought they did. The judge tried to stay patient. The lawyers looked like they couldn't believe what they were hearing. And the defendant? He was dead serious. He truly believed his AI app had found a loophole in the law. But what happened next, when the courtroom turned from confusion to chaos, showed exactly why AI still can't replace real human judgment. And it all began when Benjamin Lamprey tried to use ChatGPT to prove he wasn't drunk. It all started back in June 2023, when 36-year-old Benjamin Lamprey was charged with operating while intoxicated. For the third time. Wisconsin takes repeat OI offenses seriously, but the court still offered him a lifeline: the Intoxicated Driver Intervention Program, a way to learn, reform, and avoid the harshest penalties. All he had to do was complete the program. Easy enough, right? Well, not for Benjamin. Months went by, and he still hadn't finished. The court kept granting extensions: 9 months, 10 months, even more, just to give him another chance. But when the final hearing finally rolled around in June 2024, Benjamin showed up late, and with a brand new plan. You see, instead of focusing on rehabilitation, he'd apparently been busy talking to an AI chatbot. And when his blood alcohol results came up, showing a .221 on a breath test and a .19 on a blood test, Benjamin didn't deny drinking. He denied the math. According to him, those numbers weren't over the legal limit at all. His reasoning? That he was being judged by hundreds when he'd actually been measured in thousands. Yeah, you can almost hear the record scratch. When the judge asked what he meant, he calmly explained that his AI chatbot had told him decimals worked differently. That .221 wasn't the same as .08, because one used thousands and the other used hundreds. The courtroom fell silent. Even the judge, who had seen just about everything, blinked in disbelief. But that was just the beginning. What was supposed to be a simple plea hearing suddenly turned into something no one had prepared for: a math debate in the middle of a criminal courtroom. Judge Melissa Mogan leaned forward, trying to make sense of what Benjamin was saying. His attorney looked defeated before the argument even began. When Benjamin asked if his claim was fiction or fact, the judge replied, "Math is usually not fiction." But Benjamin didn't stop there. He started explaining decimals to the court. "If there are 3 numbers after the decimal," he said, "that's a thousandth. So my .221 means something totally different." The judge tried to keep it together. The lawyers exchanged glances. One of them even joked about calling a math professor to help. At that point, everyone realized this wasn't a legal defense. It was a full-blown math meltdown. Judge Mogan reminded him, "A blood alcohol content of .08 or higher means you're legally intoxicated." His test showed .19, nearly 3 times that limit. But Benjamin insisted his AI chatbot had explained it differently, so she spelled it out. "You blew a .221. Even if I take off a decimal, that's still .22. You were drunk." The courtroom laughed nervously. Benjamin didn't, and when the judge offered him a trial to bring in lab experts and prove his math, he sighed and said, "Just take me to jail." But that wasn't the end. Not even close. By now, Judge Mogan had reached her limit. Benjamin had shown up late, argued with math, and ignored months of leniency. When she tried to talk, he kept interrupting, and that's when her patience finally broke. "This isn't a time to conversate," she snapped. "This is a plea and sentencing." The courtroom froze. Benjamin mumbled, "Sorry, I didn't mean to piss you off. She shot back. You didn't piss me off. You just wasted everyone's time. Then, for the first time in the entire case, she dropped the filter. That math argument is crap. Everyone went silent. Still, she gave him one last chance to take responsibility. He finally pled guilty, and when asked to rate his lawyer's performance, he said, 5 out of 10. The judge blinked. This man had just argued decimals with AI and still thought the lawyer was the problem. But she wasn't done with him yet. Judge Mogan sentenced Benjamin to a year of probation and 5 days in jail. Much lighter than it could have been. But her warning was cold and clear. If you ever drink and drive again, you're going to prison. Not jail, prison. Then came the moment that went viral. Before ending the hearing, she looked him dead in the eye and said, "Next time, don't argue math with me, especially when you're wrong." The courtroom cracked up. Even Benjamin smiled, though no one could tell if he really got the joke. Still, when reporters reached out after the hearing, he doubled down. He said, "I just think there's a decimal issue people don't understand." And with that, his story exploded online. Within hours, clips of Benjamin's AI math defense flooded TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube. People couldn't believe it was real. Bro, failed math, and sobriety. AI told him to go to jail. My guy thought decimals were a government conspiracy. To few, memes were endless, but underneath all the jokes was something more serious. A growing fear that people were starting to trust AI more than experts, and Benjamin's story was proof of what happens when confidence meets misinformation. Even when the judge explained it, he didn't back down. He believed the chatbot over science, over the court, over everyone. And that's when the story started to get darker. The internet split in two. Some said Benjamin was just out of his mind. Others claimed he was a warning sign, proof that AI was changing how people think about truth. Reports suggested he'd spent months researching DUI laws through chatbots. Somewhere along the way, he convinced himself he'd found a hidden loophole, a digital key to innocence. And when he faced the judge, he wasn't trolling. He was certain he was right. Psychologists later called it a digital delusion, when people trust algorithmic answers more than their own logic. Benjamin's case became the perfect example, a man who replaced understanding with artificial confidence. But just when the internet thought they'd figured him out, new rumors emerged that made everyone question the whole story again. Weeks later, rumors started spreading that Benjamin had been part of a secret online experiment, testing how AI could assist real-world court defenses. Others said it was all staged, a social experiment to prove how far people would go to defend bad AI. Advice? None of it's been proven. There's no evidence Benjamin worked with anyone or planned it. But the idea caught fire online because it made the story even crazier. Meanwhile, Benjamin disappeared. No interviews, no statements, nothing. All that's left is that viral courtroom clip, and millions of people debating whether he was a fool, a troll, or a prophet for a dangerous future. In the end, Benjamin Lampra's courtroom meltdown became more than just a meme. It became a mirror showing how fast we're trading understanding for convenience. It wasn't just about decimals or DUIs. It was about the world we're building, one where people trust AI more than teachers, doctors, and judges. Benjamin's story was ridiculous, but it was also terrifying, because he wasn't lying. He truly believed his AI was right. And when logic failed, he didn't question the machine. He questioned reality. Maybe that's the real warning here. AI might sound confident, but it doesn't care if you're wrong. So before you let a chatbot defend you, diagnose you, or define your future, remember, it doesn't know truth. It only predicts words. Benjamin Lamproe thought he could outsmart the system. Instead, he exposed something much bigger: how easy it is to lose common sense in a world run by algorithms. Because sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is think for yourself.